Are you in control of your life, of reality? This might seem a bit more like a mystical topic. I know some of you like to stay in the more pragmatic and practical, but this is an important topic because a lot of my suffering and resistance to life came from fear. And fear always comes from feeling like you're out of control. And the opposite of fear is love. And if you are steeped in fear, then that's how you're going to live your life. It's one of the biggest obstacles we as men and as human beings have to overcome. So I'm going to dive into this topic of control. Essentially, in a lot of ways, it's the concept of free will versus determinism. It's funny too, because growing up, that was a topic in my fundamentalist religion. Like, some people believed in this concept called predestination, right? And then other people believe in the concept of free will. It was always interesting because it just seemed like such a cerebral argument. And people held on to their identity as someone who believed in free will or determinism like you would politics or your favorite flavor of ice cream. They held on to their side. I mostly didn't explore this until later in life. I will say, first and foremost, that you are not in control. You have the perception of control, but beneath all of the layers, when it comes down to it, control is an illusion. And I don't know this from partaking in those arguments and from mentally trying to work my way through it. I came to this realization from a series of deep spiritual awakenings. And for some of you, that's not going to resonate. You are not in that place. You are either in victimhood or you are just now in that stage of self-empowerment. I oftentimes talk about the 3 stages of evolution for a human being. We start out in victimhood, then we move to self-empowerment, and then from self-empowerment, we move to transcendence and surrendering control. If you try to skip the self-empowerment stage, a lot of times that will put you deeper in victimhood. This idea that you don't fundamentally have control, even though it seems like it, can make you fall deeper into victimhood, where it's like, well, then I'll just sit on the couch all day and eat Doritos and nothing matters. I have no control. That is, in a lot of ways, a cop-out. And that usually happens when you are at a lower stage of your egoic development. You have to first move through stages of egoic development, become empowered, get pissed that your life isn't the way that you want it to be. You take the reins, you do all these things, and now you're self-empowered. And, it's funny, I actually help guys who are in that stage. I help them to get that sense of self-empowerment. You go out in the world, you accomplish things, you become this powerful person who's capable. But then the only place to go from there is the transcendent stage. You start to become more open to spirituality. You start to see the actual nature of reality, which you can only see through the spiritual lens, because the mind can only comprehend so much. The mind is very limited. And the ego hates nothing more than the idea that it might not be in control. It gets very angry, it can get very scared, and then if you start to see evidence of this in your own life, you might even go through like a season of like depression, which is why, again, you need to have a more developed ego before you even start really contemplating this. If you're at a place in your life where you're still in survival, you can barely pay your bills, and you haven't figured out how to function as a healthy human being, then you don't really need to worry about this concept right now. You need to move into the stage of self-empowerment. And I'll make a separate video on that. But this video is about control, and it's about overcoming fear. This is a very complex topic. This is going to be a surface level intro to this. It goes a lot deeper than I can go into in a 15 or 20 minute video. But I will say that the number one thing that helped me overcome my own fear was when I began to accept and surrender the fact that I was never in control. So you're not essentially giving up control. You're coming to that deep understanding and recognition that you were never in control. It's funny because in a lot of ways this comes full circle, because when you are in victimhood, you're in victimhood because you feel like you have no control. So it's like, oh no, I don't have control. Victimhood. And then on the other end of self-empowerment, when you begin to transcend to those higher levels of knowing God, knowing your divinity, seeing the deeper truths of reality, it's, oh, I don't have any control. And it gives you this deep sense of peace. An amazing metaphor that came about while I was talking to one of my clients who is actually in the midst of pursuing a passion with surfing. We started talking about the waves, essentially, and how initially in life, we resist the waves, right? That's that idea, that's you getting in your own way. Like, I should be in control. The waves come, you fight the waves, and the waves overcome you. But as time goes on and you grow in this understanding, you start to see that by surrendering to the wave, you flow with it. You get rid of the resistance. You accept the fact that the wave is going in a certain direction and you go with the flow of it. And then the next stage of that is realizing that you actually are the wave and you were the wave the whole time. But we have this small idea, this small concept of ourselves as an ego, and we need to have a certain degree of control. We have to have our own way. But by learning to go with the flow of the wave, you get rid of the inner resistance that you have to life. And a lot of the results that you would have gotten anyway, they still come, but the journey to get those results isn't imbued with all of this suffering and all of this pain and all of these problems or perceived problems. You become very grounded and you become very free to tap into a higher intelligence. And I know that this is a more advanced topic. Even talking about it is difficult for me. I don't consider myself like this person who is really good at wielding language. Like, I'm still learning how to convey certain deep understandings that I have in my heart, learning how to convert those into language to where they could be understood on some level. So bear with me. I wouldn't even say that this topic in and of itself is rational. And it's not irrational either. It is, a word I heard recently is transrational, where it goes beyond the mind. And if you're someone who has done some deep spiritual work, if you've put in the time, you've put in the hours, you've done self-inquiry, meditation, you've sat with plant medicine, all of those things, then what I'm saying to you right now already resonates with you. This is more so a reminder of something that deep down you already know. And that's, you are not in control. You wake up in the morning, your heart is beating itself, your hair, your fingernails just grow. There's trillions of cells in your body. There's all these mechanisms, and yet our ego wants to take credit and be like, this body is who I am. I'm in control. Life is unfolding, and learning how to surrender to the flow of life will change everything for you. Surrender is not the same thing as resignation. Okay, that's a very important distinction, because a lot of times, like I said earlier, the whole, I'm just gonna sit around, I don't have any control anyway, that's resignation. True surrender, it's just a higher intelligence, a different perspective. Two great analogies would be like a child who all of a sudden is being told that Santa Claus doesn't exist. And initially he's really sad and he's like, what do you mean he doesn't exist? Does this mean we're not gonna get presents anymore? And the parents just kind of, smile. It's like, no. The presents were always coming, but just the source of which those presents are coming from is different. The illusion of Santa Claus isn't there. And so a lot of these good things that we have in our life, the ego wants to take credit for. It's like, I built this business, I did these things, even this YouTube channel. On the surface, yes, I did all this hard work, I built this YouTube channel, I sit down, I come up with the ideas for these videos. But the more I relinquish resistance to life, I notice that ideas, inspiration, they just happen. Life is just happening. The ideas show up, I execute on them, and there isn't all of this like stress. Now, if my perception was to be, oh man, I gotta maintain this channel, I've gotta put out a video a week, I need ideas, I would still create the content and the ideas would still come, but there would be this added layer of stress and this added layer of, I have to figure everything out. But at the end of the day, even without the worry, without all the stress, I'm still making the videos, the ideas are still flowing. And in the same way, your life is also unfolding. Another good analogy, you're driving in a car, but you're in the passenger seat with a fake steering wheel. And every time you try to turn, sometimes it goes in the direction you want, and then when that happens, you're good, you're not suffering. But then sometimes you'll turn right and the vehicle goes left and you're like, what the fuck's happening? I wanted to go right, there's something wrong with this car, there's something wrong with reality. It went in the opposite direction, but you were never in control in the first place. This understanding can set you free of fear. And when I say understanding, I mean a deep knowing. I don't mean a concept in your mind where it's like, okay, I kind of understand the idea of this. You need to have actual experiences that are in alignment. And so for me, a lot of these understandings happened through awakenings. And when I had these awakenings, then I would find books or other teachers that confirmed this understanding that I already know. So in a lot of ways, this video is for those people. If you've already had some kind of an awakening and you had an inkling that what I'm saying is true, then this is your confirmation. And this is also your permission to let go of another layer of fear and to be free of that. Because fear really is the only thing that holds us back. It's the only thing that causes us to suffer. It's the only thing that causes us to have that inner turmoil and that inner resistance. The biggest issues in life is self-interference and resistance to what is. It's the reason why most people live fundamentally frustrated, because there's a huge part of their ego that believes that all outcomes and the whole world is on their shoulders. You don't need to relinquish control. You just need to realize that you were never in control to begin with. This can also cause a lot of anger because a lot of us go through dark times. We go through dark seasons. We go through losses. My father took his own life when I was a kid. And it's amazing to look back on that now and see that even through that, fundamentally, there was an essence of love that was allowing me to grow in ways I never would have grown, to become who I am now, who I never would have been, and to have the compassion and empathy that I have from that loss. So we have to let go of the stories that we tell ourselves about our past, about, oh, it should have happened this way or this shouldn't have happened. Everything is unfolding exactly the way it's supposed to. And you watching this video right now is also part of that unfolding. A person that embodies this truth doesn't look like someone who just sits on the couch all day. It looks like someone who is just flowing, who's at peace with what is, and seems to do things effortlessly. I very much know what it's like to be in the energy of resistance. There are so many goals and things that I had, and every obstacle felt like a life or death situation. With this YouTube channel, for instance, it's one of the easiest things I've ever done, if I'm being honest with you. The ideas come, I sit down, I contemplate on them, I execute whenever it's time to execute, I surrender the outcome. Some videos get a lot of views, some videos not so much, and all of it is okay. I'm here, I'm enjoying the gift of existence. I'm growing in the process, and I'm helping those who want to help themselves. The right clients, they always find their way to me in the perfect timing. I don't have to do all this marketing and try really hard to get clients. When someone is ready to have a coach or a mentor and resonates with the things that I talk about, and they need help with either the internal work that we're talking about now or the external work, they want to get in shape, they want to learn how to get better at dating, they want to learn how to make money. All of those things are valid and also part of the journey. And I'll honestly say that without me first going through those phases and then still having that feeling of unease after I accomplish certain results, that's what ultimately led me to the next stage, the transcendent stage of seeking, and then ultimately having awakenings and learning how to be less selfish and learn how to serve other people. Again, I know this video is not for everyone. This is going to set up one of the future videos I'm gonna do, which is just about emotional regulation. A lot of men, we demonize our emotions, but at the end of the day, your emotions are messengers that are actually here to help you. And so this video actually sets a little bit of the groundwork for that video, which will be more of a practical video of how to master your emotions and actually learn how to use your emotions to work for you and not against you. So keep an eye out for that video. If you are interested in applying for one-on-one coaching or mentoring, then click the link in the description, fill out the form, and we can hop on a discovery call, see if we're a good fit to work together. Please leave any questions in the comments and like this video. If you made it this far in the video, then say something absolutely random and confusing for those who just go straight to the comments and don't actually watch the video. You are loved, you matter, and you have barely scratched the surface of what you're capable of. I'll talk to you soon.